how to never get cheated on, how to avoid being cheated, how not to ever end up in a situation where a girl or a wife, even worse, cheats on you, how to always remain attractive, always remain in that state where she always looks up to you so that she never even thinks about cheating, how to avoid it happening in many, many ways. I'm going to discuss all the ways that are possible in this video for you. I'm going to give you like a nice, good overview so you're aware of all the options you have, and then you can choose for what really works for you. I'm really going to give you a full range. So some of them might be completely unapplicable to you, but you can learn a lot from them, from understanding that perspective and also knowing that that's always available for you. So hi guys, welcome to my new video. If you don't know me, my name is Alexander. I'm a dating coach. I help guys with becoming more attractive for women so they can attract women of their dreams. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. But let's dive right into the topic. So look, cheating is an unpleasant thing. Nobody likes it. You know, why do people do it? There are many, many reasons. We're not going to go into why and fundamental kind of biology, physiology, psychology of how cheating or why cheating happens and how it works. We're just going to go and discuss all the available options. So look, historically, humanity has been aware that cheating is a problem. And let's look at specifically women cheating on men. Look, men cheat on women as well. You know, they all do things that are not so great, but we're not going to dive into that. We're going to look specifically on female cheating, female promiscuity in this case, and how men can avoid that. So society has been trying to stop women from cheating for a very, very long time. And if we look at kind of one culture that has kind of nailed it in a way, is Arabic people and Muslim people, right? People in Islam, right? They have designed the system. I'm not saying it's a good way to live, by the way, right? I'm not going to comment whether it's good or bad. I'm just saying that that's what it is. They have learned that one way they can do it is cover their women up so that men are not interested in these women because they don't know how they look like. So men are not aroused, men are not energized by women, and they're not encouraged to act because, you know, women in a complete covering is not really interesting, right? You don't really want to talk to her. You know, she's not really seducing you with her shape, with her, you know, melons and peach and everything else. So that's one way you can avoid that. Also, they kind of keep their women home. They ban mixing men and women. They are not allowing, you know, it's almost like against the law to come up to a woman on the street and talk to her. So, you know, if a woman is married, nobody's going to ever talk to her. Cheating is not going to happen. And at home, she's usually locked up. She's not allowed to be outside without a man. These kind of things. So, you know, so you cover her up, lock her in the house, make sure nobody meets her. You never introduce your wife to your friends, and in that way you're safe. That's kind of like one way to do it. That's kind of the Arabic way. Now, modern people are going to say that's archaic, that's ancient, that's not the way to live. And you know, I can agree, right? There are benefits and there are kind of sidetracks. You know, a lot of cultures like that, they kind of are in the living in the past in the way if we compare it to, you know, how developed we are in the first world. So there are some side effects that come with that. But I'm just saying that if you completely isolate your girlfriend or your wife from the world, you can even do it in the modern world. You can just say you have to stay at home, you can't meet your friends, you can't go out clubbing, you can't have male friends, you can't have a job unless it's only something you do remotely from home. If you completely lock her away, that's going to stop her from cheating. And some people do that. So it happens often. Um, Quite often, rich men would do that to their wives. They completely isolate her from everyone except them because they, you know, just can't bear the idea of them cheating. So that's a way to do it. It does bring a lot of problems, but now you understand that, you know, on the extreme end of things, that's available. Now look, when your girlfriend interacts with the world, her biology is always going to be scanning for a better potential male. And then her social conditioning, her mind is going to analyze whether it's actually a reasonable thing to sleep with him, or then she's going to lose you completely because she cheated. Or maybe she can actually get somebody who's better, who she can keep, so she can kind of upgrade socially, go from a middle class guy to upper middle class guy, or to a millionaire or to a multimillionaire or whatever, if she can upgrade and keep, it's always kind of scanning. It's like biological. It's almost happens unconsciously, so she can't really control it, right? We have to kind of give it that, quite often they can't control these impulses. Now they don't have to act on these impulses, but that's a different story. You have to understand that if your girlfriend or wife goes to work, goes to a job in the office, especially if she is in a position where she's dealing with a lot of people. For example, she's in real estate sales, she's meeting a lot of rich guys all the time. If you're not richer than all of them, she will be attracted to at least some of them. Not all, but at least some of them. So there will be temptation often. If she's going to business meetings with, FTSE 500 CEOs, if she's around influencers or athletes, celebrities, or anything like that, there always going to be opportunity for cheating. Now you can say, I trust my woman, blah, blah, blah. Well, you can trust her, but when you're being hit up with 500 offers to cheat a day, it only takes so little to slip, because she always has to consciously put a lot of effort to say no. That's why a lot of girls who are loyal, they're like, I'm loyal. They kind of say it as if it's like an achievement, like, oh, but I'm very loyal. I'm a very loyal girlfriend. They say that. And you're thinking, well, isn't that like a default? Like, you gotta be loyal as a girlfriend, but they say it as if it's like a feature. And actually, it is a feature, because for a woman to keep resisting so much temptation, especially if we talk about a country like United States, right? If you're in Los Angeles, New York, Miami, Vegas, you get like a lot of very successful, very powerful, very good looking, very tall, very, jacked up, steroided up guys everywhere. So the temptation is huge. Actually, like, American women are getting so much temptation. And they're in this kind of weird, like, it's only in America. I haven't seen it in other places so much, like capital cities in Europe, but America is next level, where they're kind of like most privileged women in terms of choice of successful, rich, and good-looking guys in the world, I think. So, if you're living in America, especially, you really got to understand this dynamic. So she's being hit up by all these things. Now, when you're being cool, when you're not jealous, not needy, when you're on your path, even if you're making less money than some other guy, even if you're less good looking and shorter, but you're like, yo, I'm passionate about art, or I'm passionate about basketball, or I'm passionate about music or YouTube, or real estate, business, whatever thing it is, you're like fully locked in, you're on your role, you're like, yeah, this is awesome, I'm loving my life. Even if you're poorer, but you're like very much happy with what you're doing, like you're winning, even if you're getting rejected and you're getting like losses and whatever, like, you got to speak to 100 people to make 5 sales, for example. Even if you're going through that and you're going through a low, but you're like, yeah, this is fine, this is just a temporary dip, we're winning, we're winning, we're winning, you're fully like that, she's going to be attracted to you. Now, the moment you start being like insecure, like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm a winner, maybe I'm a loser, and then like you're also like, oh my God, I'm jealous. You're speaking to that and that guy. You're now making yourself way less attractive, and you're making them way more attractive. Now, all of her system is like, oh my God, this guy is a loser. I have to, you know, like, I need to feel like a woman. They're gonna say these things like, I need to find myself, like, I need to feel whole again. They're gonna use these like spiritual, positive psychology terms that are like very kind of inspirational sounding, but what it means is, for her to feel like a woman, she wants to feel like penetrated by like a man who's winning, who's masculine, who's powerful, who's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, and look, like, if those moments happen in your life, it's almost like you can't let her know it. That's kind of like why a lot of successful men, they never really open up to their girlfriends. They always pretend everything's great. Even if things are shit, they go to their friends, they're like, oh my God, my business is burning, I'm losing money, fucking COVID or crisis or this or that, ruined my business, my clients are losing, oh, somebody's trying to take over my company, or there's a war that affected my business, I don't know what to do. But with their girl, they're like, yeah, full of swag. Like, yeah, I'm just fine. I just burped and made like $1 million. You're like, You're like, yeah, I just farted and like became famous, whatever. You're like, you know, not even trying and you're winning, right? You're kind of like completely like that with her, but then you go back to your boys and you're like, whoa, what are we doing? This and that, projections, marketing, people are, you know, people are leaving my company, blah, 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 whatever problems are going to occur, right? So it's almost like that. So if your girl is in that kind of situation and she's always surrounded by a lot of winning men, it's like you just can't lose grip and you got to be winning all the time. It's always like it's almost like you have to delude yourself that you're a winner anyway, regardless of what happens or regardless of the waves in your life. You're just a winner and you're just riding the waves. You know, sometimes you have more sales, sometimes you have less sales, sometimes you have more people saying yes, sometimes you have less people saying yes. You're just like, yeah, that's just the process of life. I don't care. I'm unaffected. Yeah, you're like this. You're like aloof and detached. It's almost like a spiritual gangster kind of vibe, you know? It's like you are involved, but you're not like allowing the emotional, like the volatility to affect your emotions and to be emotionally volatile, because women need a man that's always certain that he's going to win, and they really love that. And so that's like a big reason girls start cheating, you know, when they when you're gonna get involved with your friend group and she's gonna see how you hang out with your friends. And it's like, for a lot of girls, you know, ambitious girls especially, if you're not like the alpha male in your pack, if you're not like the main guy, the leader in your pack, she's gonna probably somehow lose attraction, and that really sucks. And even worse than that, she's gonna start getting attracted to the guy that is kind of the alpha male of the group, right? And so that's how a lot of cheating happens. And it's hard to control. And again, American women are very impulsive. They're very much connected to that part of them, the what's the word, the hypergamy part of them. They're very connected to that part of them. And you know, like their full integrity is to that, kind of their whole commitment is to that. So they're, once their instincts are satisfied, then you're the one. If you're not satisfying that instinct, then you know it's okay to cheat on you because you're a loser anyway. It's almost like they kind of justified, like, well, he's a loser, and actually, like, he positioned himself as a winner first, and then I actually realized that he's a loser. So you kind of lied to me by appearing a winner, but you actually ended up being a loser. So me cheating on you is actually okay because you lied to me first. It's almost like that, you know. They're never gonna say it like that, but because they're gonna get judged, you know. But that's kind of how it is. It's like you lie to them by appearing a winner, you become a loser, they cheat on you, and that's okay. And like they might even apologize, but actually, you know, you're like, you're a loser. It's okay to cheat on you. So it's like that. So that's very unfortunate, but that's kind of how the world is, you know. Like if nobody cares about a person, then you know you can treat them like shit, kind of thing. And so that's how people are. That's how a lot of women are. Not all, you know. That's how a lot of men are as well, in a variety of different ways. But we're not talking about them, right? We're just trying to understand this aspect. So one way for you to be right. So you know, we have one way: lock her up, isolate her completely, or be a completely delusional winner, no matter what happens. Mind you, though, you know, if you're a reasonable person, it's not going to work, because as a reasonable person, you're going to see ups and downs, and you're going to be reasonable, and you're going to speak to your wife logically. And if she's not conscious enough to override her instincts, now I'm going to say, like, for example, a lot of Eastern European or Russian women, again, not all, and probably the ones you meet in America are different, but over there, um, they kind of learn how to keep falling in love with their husband and keep getting attracted to more noble qualities, right? Kind of like always trying to see, like, okay, is that going to be a good father? They're trying to kind of override their biology and their hypergamy with what's actually better for the children. And it's like, and they just learn how to keep falling in love with the husband, you know, with the boyfriend. They're being like, he's going to be a great father, he's going to be a great father. It's like a skill. It's like a skill. They kind of do that. It's a skill. It's not like a natural thing. It's something that needs to be um, learned and brought up. And that's why, you know, girls with good upbringing are kind of highly valued amongst men, because that good upbringing means that she saw how her mother keeps falling in love with the father, even when he's kind of not appearing very attractive through a hypergamy point of view, but he's being noble and kind of going into that direction, and kind of thinking about the whole of society. That's what nobility means, is whole of society. A noble deed is when you sacrifice your own personal benefit for the good of society as a whole, for the good of your group, your community, your country, the planet as a whole. That seems as a noble deed. Girls that are very hypergamous and very connected to that instinct are not attracted to noble men, because those noble men might sometimes die completely for the society to benefit, but then the wives are usually left without a husband. And so some women are too, we can say selfish, but all people are selfish, but they're too selfish that they can't even, they're like, no, 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 I cannot be with a noble man. I need somebody who's just gonna take, 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 and take, and take, and take. And so kind of that's where we're at. So yeah, selfish is, cheating is a selfish act. So yeah, so if you have a girl that's super hypergamous, you gotta appear as a winner all the time, even if you have less money or less good looking or weaker than other men. You're still acting as if you're the shit, and that's kind of hard to do. Especially your instincts are gonna tell you to shut down, especially if you're weaker than other men. Because if you appear like you're strong, they're just gonna push you and you're gonna fall, right? If you're like a small man, skinny guy, and there's big dudes, and you act with them like you can beat them up, and then they're just gonna push you, you're gonna fall. You might be like, oh no, So there's that aspect. And I think just to keep video kind of concise, I'm gonna add in the the ultimate solution to never being cheated on again, and then just give you some final thoughts. So look, the final solution, the craziest one, and it's not for everyone. It's actually probably for maybe 0.1% of men, or maybe 1% of men, whatever that's going to be. But it is the ultimate solution. It does require you to really have a huge abundance of women, for you to really have slept with a lot of women to really get that. And look, I'm talking about cheating. I've probably been cheated on a bit, once or twice. I've cheated loads myself, and I definitely made loads of girls cheat, right? So I understand that aspect quite deep here. But here's the thing. So look, the most ultimate solution to being cheated on is this: you never accept the status quo conditions of a relationship. Whatever is default in a society, one boyfriend, one girlfriend are committed to each other and sleeping with other people is considered cheating. You never accept that as normal. For you, what's normal is nobody belongs to anyone. Nobody owes anything to anyone. Yeah? So what that means is there is no such thing as cheating to begin with. So you completely eliminate that thing. So you tell your girl, you can do whatever you want. You're free. I respect your sovereignty as a human being, and I'm not going to impose my will on you in such a way that you're free to do what you want. Now, what a crazy move, because you're going to think that, well, she's just going to go and fuck all these dudes then. She might. For you not to be jealous, you have to have had a couple hundred girls before that. So you really know in abundance. Maybe you don't have to sleep with a lot of them. Maybe you just had a lot of girls around you since you were young. If you're growing up as a 12-year-old and you have 10 girls around you who always want your attention, you don't have to sleep with a lot of them. You just know they're always there. But for most guys, that's not the case. So for most guys, you're gonna have to sleep with 50, 100, maybe 200, 300 women, over 100 women at least, but 200, 300 women to be kind of in a position where you're like, yeah, I can just have a woman anytime I want, or whatever, almost anytime I want, I can have a girl. So I don't really care. So I'm not gonna impose that on her, and then she will in no way be able to impose this on you back, because you're kind of like, whatever you're gonna say is like, well, you're gonna say, well, look, I'm just gonna sleep with whatever girl I want whenever I want, and she's gonna say, well, I want the same. Now you're gonna say, no, you can go the red pill way, like Andrew Tate or all these guys, like, no, you're a woman, and if one lock can get opened by many keys, it's a bad lock, but if one key can open many locks, it's a good key. Whatever, that's, I'm not saying that's wrong. That's a way to be. Some men do that. That's okay, but I'm giving you like the next level of thing, because you might prohibit your girlfriend from cheating on you and justify it logically like that, and she will still find a way to cheat on you, and you will never know. You will never know, because they're smart. They know how to get this done, bro. 2 minutes in a nightclub, in the bathroom, boom, bam, done. You look like that, you know? You look left, you look right. And if you're a busy man, you know, I'm just going to the bathroom, boom, bam, bang the waiter in the restaurant. Man, I'm telling you, man. And if you piss her off, she's gonna accept those terms that you can sleep with other girls, but she can't sleep with other men. She will accept it. I'm talking about Western women, yeah, like L.A. girls, you know, American girls, London girls. She will accept it, but she'll know because she knows. You know what I'm saying? She knows how she can do it, and she'll revenge you. Like there was this guy, oligarch in Russia. He had a wife, and he probably never found out, maybe he did. She used to go and prostitute for truckers, for truck drivers, for whatever, you know, 10, 20, 30 bucks. She would bang them and do whatever with a trucker, you know. So she'd be like banged by a dirty trucker, you know. She's a wife of a millionaire, upper class, banging a working class guy for 20, 30 bucks, and then comes back to his husband. And that's like revenge cheating. Revenge cheating. She did revenge cheating on him, and he never knew. And he tried to dominate her and limit her in all the ways, and he thought he's winning. And she would go and be like a dirty whore with like a trucker, and then come back to him and be a nice wife. And then he's got, oh, you're my nice sweet little wife, but she knows she's a bad girl, and it's like she's revenging him, and he doesn't know it, but energetically something is happening. And so it's like, you know, but women are very clever. You know, don't think you can outsmart a woman. For most of you guys, you will never outsmart a woman in social deeds. Most of you won't. You guys are dumb. Dudes are dumb. You guys are idiots. So you will not outsmart a woman, okay, who's been socially practicing her social ability within the social world since she's 12. You know, when you've been playing video games, dumbass Fortnite and stuff. So don't think you'll outsmart her. So um, you know, that kind of position is a hard one, but you know, some people can pull it off only with like a very, very big difference. Like I see guys do it in like Asia, where he's like a white guy from America with like multi-million-dollar net worth, and he gets some village girls in like Thailand who like survive on $2 a day, and then he gets like 10 of them as girlfriends. Okay, very hard to pull off. Bro, guys who can't get laid for years go to Thailand and rack up 100 lays. So you know what I'm saying? But anyway, Thailand is a great place. Don't get me wrong. You know. But so this position of when you're like, look, you can do whatever you want, I'll do whatever you want, you know. So she's free to do what she wants. Now suddenly, first of all, cheating becomes less interesting, because the thing about cheating that's very stimulating is this is wrong. Oh my God, we're being so bad. We shouldn't do this. Oh my God, this is wrong. This excitement, this secrecy element of cheating is what makes it 10 times more interesting. Oh my God, I hope they never find out about our real secret, you know? That's what makes it so interesting, so invigorating. So, you know, bringing, you know, restriction is tension, and then breaking is release. Restriction is tension, then breaking is release. That's why people like to break the law. That's why criminals feel so good, because they're breaking the law. Restriction, and then relaxation. Tension, relaxation. Tension, relaxation. Restriction, break. Law, break. Rules, break. No cheating, cheating, right? Like that. So people like to do that because everyone wants to feel free. Nobody wants to be constricted. That's why American people are so happy to be free. Liberty, Statue of Liberty, you know, all that is a natural thing for us. So you say, well, you're free to do what you want. You will notice, you know, more often than not, they might not even want to, because they might only want to like threaten cheating to make you jealous, but you're not jealous. So they're like, oh, okay, first of all, right? So that it kind of like it kind of completely removes it. But yeah, you know, you give her freedom, and then if you're not giving her attention and you're sleeping with a lot of other girls and she feels lonely and isolated, then she, you know, she might go and sleep with someone, and then it's up to you to choose, you know, kind of whether that actually works for you or not. And so for those guys who have an abundance of women, who don't care to lose a girlfriend, you know, who don't get like obsessed too much over one girl, because look, you know, reality, there's plenty of fish in the sea, truly. But you gotta know it, not just mentally as a phrase, but you gotta demonstrate it to your body. And the only way to demonstrate it to your body is to have an abundance of women around you at some point, at least in your life. I mean, you know, you don't have to do it always, but at least sometimes. So um, this position I'm not saying you have to apply it for all of you, but just mentally practice it so you understand what true freedom feels like. So now you have kind of these options. Now look, you can lock your wife up, isolate her from the world, cover her in dark clothes. No, nobody's gonna see her ever, 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 ever. You can be delusional as a winner, right? Or you can just remove the possibility of cheating in the first place by removing the conditions, right? And there's different degrees to that one. Some people do swinging, some couples do swinging. They go to swing clubs and meet other couples and they swing like that, and that's kind of fun for them. There's other ways. I'm not saying it's good or bad. Is it religious or not religious or this or that? None of that stuff. I'm just saying that that's all they're available for you. And I guess, yeah, also being in a very religious relationship, like, for example, how some American Christians are, is probably also a way to do it. But that would kind of just be those aspects of girls that are very traditional and have good upbringing, good conditioning. Basically, it's, yeah. So a woman would, as people say, good conditioning, learns how to override her hypergamy to keep falling in love with the right husband again and again and again and again. This is the same thing that I said about, for example, Eastern European and some Russian girls. Again, not the ones that come to America. They're all spoiled, and I'm not all, but a lot of them, right? So when a woman learns that, she can learn it through religion or just good parenting and upbringing, and then they kind of learn how to keep falling in love with the noble qualities of a man and to keep not being attracted to the fuckboyish qualities of a man. And that's what women in themselves call mature. Like, oh, I matured. I'm now attracted to different qualities. I was attracted to bad boys, fuckboys before, and now I'm attracted to noble men. It is a process of maturing, but some people go through a whole phase before they're able to be mature. And guys are not really interested. Noble guys are not interested in girls like that. They like girls who've been conditioned to be mature straight, as soon as possible. So they don't go through a fuckboy phase, but straight away they're attracted to more noble qualities. Now, how effective is that? Does it work long term? Do women get midlife crisis and from after being in a Christian marriage start banging a lot of fuckboys? I don't know. You tell me. So this I'm just gonna kind of end this here so you have quite a bit of things to think about, and hopefully I left you with some good information and some options for you to explore, at least mentally and philosophy, and you have grown from it. If you have any questions about this, let me know in the comments. You can also DM me on Instagram if you have any private questions or you just want to chat to me a little bit. I answer everyone on Instagram. If you have a small questions, I'm happy to answer it. If you have any problems or need any help kind of transforming your dating life and just becoming more confident, charismatic, more interesting, so you can get a girlfriend or a few or travel the world and meet girls, whatever you want to do, I'm happy to help you. I mean, I've been traveling 30 other countries and kind of having a good dating life with that. So it is something I can help you with. It is easier if you live in one place to get a girlfriend, of course, but everything's possible. So this is the end of the video. Have a great day. Have a great life. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.